Hey guys, so in today's episode of the podcast, we are going to discuss a sudden and rather abrupt change in the real estate market trend, which is transforming the future of our industry in ways that weren't predicted. And it's 100% because of the pandemic. Before we get into it, I just want to say that this podcast is being filmed on the road because it is very timely. I am currently overseeing and involved in major rehabs in 2 of my rental properties. So for that reason, I'm recording this on the road. I apologize for any inconsistencies or just plain old nastiness in the audio. I'm trying to control it as much as I possibly can. Building a real estate portfolio is as much about buying properties as being a de facto entrepreneur. I'm Karina Ufinger. I'm a multi-property investor, rental management company CEO, and also a landlord coach. I'm going to show you the systems and knowledge you need to thrive as a real estate entrepreneur. From your first property purchase to building a portfolio of passive income where you work less than 5 hours a week, you'll learn the essential information and skills to build a profitable portfolio and live the life you truly want. Whether you are well on your journey or just starting out, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Landlord Chick podcast. So there is one consequence of the pandemic that has not really been discussed too much. And that's because there wasn't a lot of data yet to back it up. We had to get through, the first couple months of it, maybe even closer to 8 months out of the pandemic before we really could say, hey, this is a changing trend. But there is a distinct and abrupt change in the urban trend for housing requirements. And this is 100% connected to the pandemic. Now, to understand why this is connected to the pandemic, we need to rewind the clock a little bit. We need to go back to pre-pandemic. So as much as that might be difficult for us, let's just try and get back to a place in our minds where the pandemic didn't exist. Let's go back to 2018. In 2018, we were hearing about how the younger generations, lower half, or the younger half, I should say, of the millennials and Generation Z then, they wanted to live in an urban environment. They wanted to be in on the action. They wanted to be close to restaurants, theaters, shopping. And as a result of this, we had real estate investments popping up were like mini towns within themselves. So you would see a development come up and it'd have a movie theater, retails, and then restaurants. And on top of all of that, built above in 5, 6, 7 stories were rentals. Now, this was to address the fact that many people in the younger generations saw their life going this way, where they didn't want to have to commute to their jobs that much, or they didn't want to have to get in a car all the time to go shopping or to go to a movie. So developers were quickly adjusting to this trend and saying, hey, let's build these things. So a lot of empty lots, abandoned shopping malls, they were demolished and turned into these mini urban oases. And this was truly the trend that we were seeing because not only were people attracted to those, but they were also attracted to urban environments, so downtown areas themselves. So this is what we've all been operating under. We've been thinking, okay, this is the age of the urban. People want to live in downtown areas. They want to be close to things. Let's capitalize on this with our real estate investments. The pandemic has thrown us a curveball because here's the reality of it. We know with the pandemic, distancing is a thing. Generally, we want to be around less people right now. We don't want to be clustered into things. And so exactly as a result of that, people are reevaluating their priorities with where they're going to live. And suddenly living in downtown, living in those urban delight areas that are purposefully being constructed doesn't look that attractive to them. They're looking at the suburbs where there's space, where there's a less dense population, and they're saying, you know what? I think that's where I want to be. Especially because so many jobs are still telecommuting. Many places have indicated that they won't open their offices back up. So, if their desire to be part of the action, to go into restaurants, to go into bars, to go to movie theaters, if that's been removed, and as well their demand to commute for their job has been removed, they really can truly live wherever they want and away from people. Many of you out there have likely bought real estate in urban areas in the past, like let's say 5-6 years, to be on top of this trend, to be where people are headed. And unfortunately, I guess I get to be the bearer of bad news and say that there is a change in the trend. But just because there's a change in the trend doesn't mean that the urban areas are going to become a ghost town. This just means that maybe the high-end, upper-end properties might not be located downtown in the urban areas. They are going to transition more out to the suburbs because that's where people who have the means to move themselves are going to move. Real estate trends always apply to those who have the means to acquire them. So in this case, if you have the means to acquire this, you're going to be moving out to the suburbs. If somebody doesn't have the means, if maybe they are in the lower income, they're still going to be looking at urban because they still have to commute to their job likely. They won't be able to afford what it's going to cost to live in the suburbs. Now, for those of you who owned suburbs property and were wishing you could offload it, don't offload it because yours is suddenly going to be in demand because, again, it's coming full circle. People are going to move away from the urban trend, even though we really thought that's where it was going, and it was really going before this curveball. Your suburban duplex, your suburban quad is suddenly going to be the hot date for the prom. Now, of course, this is a very big generalization when I say that. You do have to be trendy to be able to capitalize on this trend. So again, if you are looking to really capitalize on this trend, your suburban property should be up to date. You should have the newer appliances, the newer flooring, the newer features to really capitalize on that increased rental rate, which is going to happen. If you are a landlord with an urban property, again, don't despair. It's not like everyone's going to abandon the urban towns. You just might have to redirect and reevaluate your numbers. You might not be renting necessarily to the upper middle class anymore. You might find yourself renting to the middle class or maybe even below the middle class. Take a little bit to look at your numbers and see if it still makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, knowing that this is where the trend is going, do not delay to make the decision to get out and move to the suburbs. Because the reality of this is the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be for you to sell your urban property. So if you're looking to offload your urban property, call your real estate agent today. Let people in your real estate network know that you're looking to get out of it and see who's willing to buy. Now, as much as I've said, hey, act quickly, don't dawdle with this decision, understand that in certain areas of the country, you're headed into winter where honestly, real estate as a whole slows down anyway. So there is probably nothing wrong with holding on to your urban properties and waiting to see how it pans out next spring. Because we honestly don't know what the long-term effects of the pandemic are going to be. All what we know is that right now, at this moment, those that have the option for where they live, they're removing themselves from the urban area. They're going to the suburbs. We can't say for certain that that's going to continue into next spring, next summer. We do have to get some more months behind this data. I'm telling you what we're seeing right now is that at this moment, if you're having a problem renting your urban property, it might be because of this trend. Consider your options, consider what your exit plan is, evaluate all of that. Because if the time comes and you have to sell in order to avoid being straddled with a property that is a burden, you'll want to act on the quicker side of that timeline. But there's nothing wrong with holding on to it. Hold on to it for a couple months. See if this trend continues. We have potentially a vaccine coming out. Who knows for sure when? But if we get one before the end of the year, we might see an adjustment to this trend towards the first part of next year, maybe in the second quarter. But we can't say for certain. So really, this is a personal decision. If you don't have a lot of leeway in your numbers, if your numbers were already tight, then I encourage you to act quicker on the side of selling. If you have a little bit of leeway in your numbers, maybe your income allows you right now, it's $500 net income per door. Honestly, wait it out a little bit. See what happens. You're in a slightly better position than the person who only nets maybe $50 per door or $75 per door. Allow yourself the time to make a fiscal decision that makes sense for you, your family, and your goals.